Hey friends, welcome back to the Polish Potager. I am Stephanie. This here is London, my garden apprentice, one of many. And today I'm going to be going ahead and kind of reorganizing my grow room a little bit and adding some more lights, and I'll explain to you why. But all of our little seedlings are starting to take off, and it's time to get them the better, most appropriate kind of light for them. So I'm going to be putting some lights up, and we're going to be taking a look at what's going on down here in the grow room today. Right now, the only lights I have set up are these red and blue Spectrum grow lights, which work great for seed germination. I've got a couple of them. I didn't continue buying them because I think that I like shop lights better, but they are doing a good job of getting these going. The problem I'm seeing here is, do you see how all these little sprouts, let me show you, those are snapdragons. You can see it better here. You see how they're all angling toward that light? This square size light is not an appropriate light to have over top of the whole tray once they start growing, because they're going to start doing this. They're going to start angling toward the light, and I want them to go up straight and stocky. I don't want them long and leaning like this one right here is, with a big long stem reaching for light. I want it to have light right where it's at and to grow nice and straight and true. So it's time for these guys to move. And here's where I'm going to move them to. I have these tables set up here, and I have shop lights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook these shop lights in my ceiling, and I'm going to drop them real low, and I'm going to keep them over here. This is going to do two things. First, it's going to get them over here with a light right over top of them so they're not stretching for light anymore. And secondly, the heater's not over here. My heater is right here, facing toward this, which is how I'm gonna get my peppers to germinate with the heat and my more warm weather things right now. But these cooler things that I planted, they don't need that supplemental heat, and they'll be fine over on the other shelf. Okay, I had to rearrange a couple things. The cat's knocked over the tripod a couple times. Life happens. So I have two shop lights set up over these tables. They're nice and low to the ground. I'll show you how I hung those up. Then I had to just kind of flip-flop that seed dresser back there to make sure that my main power cord that is hooked up to the timer could reach these lights and these lights over here. So that took me a hot minute. And now I'm out of breath because I'm old and out of shape. All right, let's show you what's going over there. So now you can see a little bit better. Here's how these are hooked up. I've just got these little pulley cords, and I run them down and through the hooks that came in my shop lights, and then there's a little hook on the other side. And this allows me, this side doesn't have it, but this side does. I can change how tall these are by adjusting the pulley and pulling them up and down. This works for me. You could get a lot more sophisticated with this and build a rack and attach these to the bottom of each rack and have a big rack. I see that a lot online. I'm just using what I have already, so I don't really want to do that. Down here, these lights are nice and low, so you can see that they are just above. This is going to keep things growing straight up like this crazy onion. They're going to go straight up because there's light directly above them now. So the ivies and the onions are over here. I moved this other tray over here. This is Snapdragon tray. And look, we're getting pretty good germination on those snaps, and they need light, so this might even help them out a little bit. Over here, we had some of our earlier herbs. I planted some snaps that are not quite up yet, and then these dahlias that were curling over. So these trays are all gonna live over here under the lights. I'm gonna keep my ranunculus tray that I had sitting there off to the side. Look how many of these are coming up already. I did give them a good water. Let's see. Oh, there's some more back here. Little one right there. Little one right there. I'm really pleased with how these are doing. Now, I have a light right above here that I can adjust down. Again, working with what I have. Our former teenage daughter used to live in this room, and she left this here. And now I put in really high light bulbs, and now this is part of my grow room. I can turn this on when I'm down here. There is a light right here. Here's the ranunculus that were kind of moldy, and I wasn't sure if they were gonna make it, and I want to keep them separate. I'm keeping those way over there. The light from the window would be enough for the ranunculus at this stage because I don't want them growing super fast. They are a spring flower. They like cooler temps and less light to get going, so it's not going to hurt them. And it's really cold, as you can see outside. Today's actually a snow day from school. I think it's the 6th snow or cold day of the year. Yeah. My kids aren't learning a whole bunch in February, but I'm getting a lot of gardening done. That leaves me with just one tray over here. I went and turned these lights out. This heater vent is affecting how often I have to water things. I might have to rethink this. Don't be surprised if this moves location as we get further on in the season. But for now, I just turned these off, and on the second tray, I left the lights on. These are all the peppers we planned the other day, and there was some thyme, parsley, and gomphrena in here. I don't know if you can see with these crazy lights, but I do have parsley that is already, or thyme that's already sprouting. Parsley takes almost 3 weeks sometimes to germinate. Don't give up on your parsley, friends. It takes a little bit. And the peppers will take a while, and they need the heat. So that is why I'm going to move this back here in front of them, give them lots of heat over here. On this side, these are cool other things, the snapdragons, some herbs, onions. These can handle a little bit cooler, so I'm going to concentrate my heat over next to the peppers. And friends, this is kind of the name of the game involved in starting seeds inside. You need to be flexible. You need to move things around. You need to look at what's going on, adjust your conditions, and go. I've never had 2 seasons where the same thing that worked one year works exactly the same as the next year, right? Some years things were too warm and moist down here, and I had to get a fan going down here, which probably will happen closer to spring here. However, some years things are just super dry and a fan would make it worse. It all depends on the kind of winter you're having. It's going to depend on the conditions in your basement. It's going to depend on what soil seed you get. It's going to depend on so many different things. So you have to be flexible. All these pieces in this room work well for me. They're all the things I had, but it requires me to not get stuck and say, okay, this is how I'm setting up my seed room. This is how it's going to go. I need to come down and evaluate. And if something needs to change, it's okay to change it. I'm not a failure because I put my rack in front of my furnace, which now, as I say it, sounds like a really dumb thing to have done. In my brain, I'm like, it's one little event. How much difference is it gonna make? Well, I dried my snapdragons out a lot. So that's what difference it's gonna make. I learned, moving on. Probably won't ever put my germination rack in front of the furnace vent again. This is gardening, and I fully expect to be making mistakes and learning from them well into my 60s and 70s, right? Right. All right. That's all I'm going to do for today. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon.